It's 3:12 on a Tuesday afternoon in late August. Somewhere in your town, a sixth grader is coming up the driveway with a backpack hanging off one shoulder. She digs a key out of her front pocket, the pocket with the granola bar wrappers in it, lets herself in, drops her stuff down, enters the door, and the house is quiet. Nobody else is home for another 2.5 hours. For a lot of families, that's not a crisis. That's just what August looks like. School started, the schedule changed, and the after-school plan got made in about 4 minutes on a Sunday night. Today, we're going to make that plan better. Not scarier, better. This is Home and Safe from Deluxe CCTV, the show about the practical side of keeping a home and the people in it safe. I'm your host, Mackenzie. If you've got a kid who's just started letting themselves in after school, this one's for you, especially if it started just days ago and you've been thinking about it during meetings ever since. Here's the plan. First, how you actually tell whether your kid is ready, because the answer surprises most parents. Second, the ground rules that genuinely matter, a shorter list than you'd think. And third, the part where we come in, how technology can tell you that they got home safe without you turning into a helicopter. One note before we start, we sell security equipment. We are not lawyers, we are not pediatricians, and we are not here to tell anybody how to raise your kid, okay? You know your child, we don't. What we can do is lay out what child safety organizations actually say and what the equipment side looks like, and let you take what's useful. We'll name our sources as we go so you can read them yourself. Okay, let's go. Let's start with a number because it reframes the whole conversation. The After School Alliance runs the biggest study there is on how American kids spend their afternoons. It's called America After 3 p.m., which, yes, is where we got the title of this episode. In their 2020 national survey, 7.7 million school-aged children were alone and unsupervised in the hours after school. 7.7 million. That is not a fringe group. That is a normal Tuesday in America. Their newest numbers looked at middle schoolers specifically, and there the trend is good. Kids on their own after school dropped from 3.9 million in 2004 to about 1.8 million. But here's the part that matters for you. In their 2025 study, more than 5 million middle school families said they want an after-school program and don't have their kid in one. Why? 56% said cost, 48% said there's no safe way to get their kid there and back. So let's retire something right now, okay? If your kid is home alone at 3 o'clock, it's very often not because you chose door number 2. It's because door number 1 cost too much or the bus doesn't go there. And here's why we wanted to do this episode in August specifically. August is the month the plan gets made. New school year, new bus time, new dismissal, maybe a new building entirely. Whatever you improvise in 1 week tends to become the system. And then nobody looks at it again until something happens. So 2 weeks in is exactly the right time to look at it on purpose, which is the whole reason we wanted to cover it plainly without the hand-wringing. This is a logistics problem with a lot of families in it. And in that research, more than 9 in 10 parents with a kid in an after-school program, 92%, say it helps them feel less stressed because they know their child is safe. Peace of mind is the thing. We're going to go get it without the program. So how do you know if your kid is ready? The instinct is to answer with a number. She's 12, she's fine. He's 10, so another year or 2. That instinct is the single biggest misconception in this whole subject, and child welfare officials call it out directly. The Child Welfare Information Gateway, that's the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, puts it about as plainly as a government document ever puts anything. There is no agreed upon age at which all children are able to stay home alone safely. Children mature at different rates. Full stop. Now, you might be thinking, hang on, isn't there a law? Sort of. A handful of states put an age in statute, and they wildly disagree. Illinois is the strictest. Its neglect statute is built around children under 14 with 15 factors for judging whether a kid was left too long. By one state-by-state tally, Kansas goes as low as 6, and Maryland law says a child under 8 can't be left alone at all. 2 takeaways. 1, look up your own state because you deserve to know where you stand. 2, the important one, the legal age is a floor, not a readiness test. Clearing the number in the statute tells you nothing about whether your kid can handle a stranger at the door on a Thursday. So what does tell you? Safe Sitter, the nonprofit that's trained kids in home alone safety for decades, says most children are ready for short periods between 10 and 12, then says the same thing HHS does: maturity over age. They look for 3 markers, okay? Confidence, comfortable alone, doesn't need constant reinsurance. Preparedness, knows what to do in an emergency, knows the phone rules, and independence, can put together a simple meal and make a small decision without texting you about it. The federal guidance turns it into questions instead of a number, and they're worth having in front of you. They fall into 3 buckets. Bucket 1, your kid. Is your child physically or mentally able to care for themselves? Does your child obey rules and make good decisions? Not perfect decisions, good ones. And this one, which is the one everybody skips, does your child feel comfortable or fearful about being home alone? That last one is the one that guidance keeps circling back to and the one easiest to skip. A kid who won't say they're nervous is the kid whose answer you never hear. Bucket 2, the circumstances. How long and at what time of day? Every day or once a week? Are they responsible for a younger sibling? Because that is a completely different job. Is your home free of hazards? How safe is your neighborhood? Honestly. Bucket 3, the safety skills. Does your family have a plan for emergencies? Does your child know their own full name, address, phone number? And we mean say it under stress, not know it in theory. Do they know where you are and how to reach you and the names and numbers of other trusted adults? What falls out of that is worth sitting with. Readiness isn't one fixed thing about a child. It's the child plus the situation plus the preparation. The same kid can be ready for 90 minutes on a Tuesday and not for 4 hours on a half day. You're not answering, is my child ready? You're answering, is my child ready for this? All right, say you've worked through that and you're a yes. There are long lists of home alone rules out there, and these are the 5 that the child safety groups come back to most, and the 5 that matter for the equipment conversation later. 1, the check-in. A text or a call when they get in. Federal guidance puts it plainly: call your child while you're away to see how it's going. The families who find this easiest tend to tie in to something concrete. The text goes out when the door locks behind them rather than sometime after school. It only works in both directions though, okay? So a check-in that gets left unread stops being a check-in. 2, the door stays shut. Safe Sitter's rule is exactly this blunt. Keep doors and windows locked and don't open the door for literally any reason. Any reason includes the delivery driver. We want to be specific here because this is the one that trips families up in a world where 4 packages a day show up. Packages can sit on the porch. That's what porches are for. Your kids do not need to sign for anything. They don't need to open the door to be polite, and they don't need to explain themselves through it. Remember, silence is a complete answer. Worth saying out loud that not answering isn't rude because a lot of 11-year-olds are more worried about being rude than about being unsafe. 3, the phone script. This one is close to universal in the guidance. Never tell a caller you're home alone. Not a stranger, not an unrecognized number, not somebody who says they're from the school. The standard line is, my mom can't come to the phone right now. Can I take a message? Present tense, no detail. And on the phone, 911 for emergencies, your cell, a backup adult, and write this one down. Most parents don't have this one. Poison control, 800-222-1222. That's the number Safe Sitter puts on their list, and it's the one you will be desperately glad to already have programmed. 4, nothing goes online about being home alone. And this is the newest one on the list. Safe Sitter says don't post online that they're home alone, even inside their own network. In practice, that means a story, a streak, a home alone LOL caption, and whoever their location sharing is broadcasting to. The version of this that seems to land with kids is the reason rather than the ban. An empty house is information, and information goes to people you can see. 5, the what if list. Locked out, power out, smoke alarm, somebody knocking and not leaving, and the most common one by a distance, nothing is actually wrong and they just feel uneasy. That last one is worth naming in advance because a kid who thinks calling for no reason isn't allowed won't call. Illinois' own parent resource, the strictest state in the country, recommends role-playing and trial periods rather than just a single conversation. In practice, that looks like 20 minutes home alone while you're sitting in the driveway 40 feet away. It feels silly. Everyone who does it says it's the part that stuck. The boring household stuff belongs on that list too. Stove, friends over, leaving the house, screens, whatever you land on, those are arguments that go better at the kitchen table than at 3:40 over the phone. One more, specific to where a lot of you live. If you have a pool, the home alone conversation includes the pool. A confident swimmer at a birthday party is a different situation from a kid alone in a backyard at 3:15 in September when it's still 95 degrees. Nobody swims alone is the standard rule, and if a rule feels thin on a hot afternoon, that's what our anti-drown wireless child safety pool alarm bracelet covers. Speaking of, now let's get to the technology piece. The order here matters, okay? None of this replaces anything that we just said. A camera does not teach your kid not to open the door. Do the rules and skip the tech, you're in decent shape. Do the tech and skip the rules, you've bought a screen that shows you a problem you didn't prevent. But there is one question that sits in your chest between 3 o'clock and 3:20, and technology answers it well. Did they get home okay? 3 pieces and they work together. 1, a door that tells you it opened. This one solves a lot of the actual latchkey problem, the key itself. A Wi-Fi smart lock gives your kid a code or a fingerprint instead of a key that they can lose or hand to a friend. And it pings your phone when the door is unlocked. Instead of watching the clock in a meeting, you get a small buzz at 3:14 that says, she's in. 2, a camera covering the entryway. So you can see the arrival, that's your kid, backpack, 3:14, and so you can see anyone else who's come to the door while they're there. 2-way audio, it's even better, and we'll come back to why. 3, the routine that ties them together. Notification, then their text, then your reply. 3 beats, same every day, over in 15 seconds. And 1 setup note that matters more than any spec. Set it up so everybody in the house knows it's there. Out in the open, on purpose. Show them the camera, point at it, open the app, show them what it actually sees, where the cameras are and where they aren't. That's our standing recommendation for an install like this, and it's where we draw the line on our own house. There's a hard-nosed reason for it, not just a nice one. No camera on earth is going to tell you the full context of a man who came to the door and something about him felt off. The information only ever arrives a one way, which is a kid who volunteers it. Every setup we've seen work protects that. 2 ways we see this go sideways. The first is treating it as a substitute for the conversation. The rules are the plan. The camera tells you the plan is running. The second is footage creep, okay? A camera bought for arrivals, gradually used for everything else. That's each family's call, but the setups that stay useful tend to be the ones that stayed narrow. 2 practical notes. 2-way audio is the underrated feature here. A 5-second, hey, you're home, as they walk in does the work of a check-in call without the call. And if your setup captures audio, the rules on that vary by state, so set it up accordingly. And 1 buying note, because we get asked this constantly, for this particular job, the alert matters more than the resolution. A 4K camera that takes 90 seconds to push a notification is worse than a modest one that pings in 5. So when you're comparing hardware for an entry, compare how fast it alerts and whether it can notify on the door opening rather than only on the motion. Motion only means you hear about the mail carrier as often as your kid. If you want a hand-picking hardware for your front entry, that's what we do. For this exact job, we'd start with the Ultralock U-Bolt Pro Wi-Fi, keyless, so there's no key to lose, and it tells you your phone when the door opens. It's at deluxecctv.com, and our team will happily tell you if you need less than you think that you do. Very often for this problem, that lock and 1 camera is the whole build. Last thing, if it's useful, here's how the first 2 weeks tend to go when families do this deliberately. Week 1, a few short dry runs, 20 minutes, you were in the driveway, the house rules written down somewhere that everybody can see, the phone programmed, your cell, a backup adult, 911, poison control, and the entry notification set up with your kid watching you do it rather than discovered later. Week 2, stretch it to an hour, then to the real window. Run 1 what if. The lockout, it's the most likely. And 1 question at the end of the day. Anything today that felt weird? The small stuff is the early warning, and it only surfaces if somebody asks. And it's worth revisiting in October. A kid in October isn't the same kid as in August. The readiness answer moves. 3 things to take with you. Maturity, not age. The number in your state's law is a floor, not a readiness test. The questions are what matter. 5 rules, practice rather than announced. The check-in, the door stays shut, deliveries included. Never tell anyone you're alone. Nothing online about the empty house, and the what ifs run before they're needed. And the technology layer everybody in the house needs to know about, okay? Not to watch a kid, to answer one question, did they get home okay? So you can put the phone down and get back to your day. That empty house at 3:12 doesn't have to be the thing you worry about all afternoon. With an hour of setup, it's just your kid coming home, handling it. I'm Mackenzie. This is Home and Safe from Deluxe CCTV. We'll see you next time. If this was useful, send it to the parent in your life who's been thinking about this since the first day of school, and come see us at deluxecctv.com. Thanks for listening. Go get your peace of mind.